this video, we'll be taking a look at Jaina Solo for the Legacy Collection. It's part of the final Expanding Universe wave, and she is Build-A-Droid number 60. So Jaina Solo might very well be one of the most popular characters in the Expanding Universe. Personally, she's one of my favorites. She might very well be in my top 5 favorites from the Expanding Universe. She has a very fleshed out story. She's been in so many different series in the EU books. She was born with her twin brother Jason at the very end of the Thrawn trilogy. And then, of course, we have the New Jedi Order book series, which the appearance you're seeing her here in this action figure is from that series. So at this point, she's probably in her teens or early 20s, somewhere in that range. And then also the Legacy of the Force book series. And there was also the canceled Sword of the Jedi book series. And that unfortunately never came to fruition. I wish it did. I think at the time it was being written or in development. It was during that transition time between going from the Lucas era into the Disney era. And of course all that stuff was scrapped after that. But from my understanding, we did get some promo material from Sword of the Jedi. It's just unfortunate that it never came to be. I really wish it did. Hopefully someday, maybe for whatever reason, Disney will allow EU books to continue, and I think that's one series that definitely deserves to be made. And there was also one book series after Legacy of the Force. I think it was Fate of the Jedi, and that was, I think she shows up every now and then in that book series. Interesting thing about Jaina as well, she does end up going on to marry Jagd Fel, who is the son of Baron Suthier Fel. And then also the descendants of them is the Emperor Rowan Fel, I think, from the Star Wars Legacy series. So it's interesting seeing how all this stuff ties together after so many years. Similar to her twin brother Jason, they did have a younger brother, Anakin Solo, who unfortunately perishes during the Yuuzhan Vong War. And during the Yuuzhan Vong War, Jaina Solo is dubbed by Luke Skywalker as the Sword of the Jedi, which, from my understanding and from what I recall reading, is kind of something similar to like the Chosen One or the fulfilling some prophecy. And of course, that's what the book series would have been about, is her fulfilling that prophecy. So in the EU, we never got to see Jaina Solo really fulfill her story. But even up to this point, based upon the stories we have, there's a lot of content about her. She definitely has a lot of, she has traits from both her parents, Han Solo and Leia Organa. She has a little bit of that sense of humor about her, similar to Han Solo. At the same time, she has that charisma about her like Leia does. So, very interesting character. I would love to see more stories about her. And to this day, she remains probably one of my favorites from the EU. So, one more thing I'll mention. So, how I acquired her. Jaina Solo, I've wanted in my collection ever since she was released in 2010. And I just never got around to getting her, unfortunately, until 2016. Up to that point, I've never seen her or her brother in person in retail at all. Of course, they were Toys R Us exclusives, and I think each Toys R Us store only got like one case each. So, if you didn't get that initial case of it, you were pretty much out of luck. And of course, the prices on eBay were very expensive. But one day in 2019, or not 2019, 2016, I think it was December 9th of 16, actually, if I recall correctly. I just got on eBay, or I actually think I got this one off Amazon. And I got her, yeah, I got 2 versions of Jason and Jaina here. And this particular version of Jaina you're looking at came from Tungori, actually. So the first version of her I got, yeah, it was brand new off Amazon on December 9th of 2016. And I only paid about $90 for that, free shipping. Totally brand new. It was decent condition for the package. But it was one of those characters and action figures that I really wanted to get in my collection. At that point, I recently got a huge pay raise, so I thought, well, you know, I'll take advantage of it right now and go ahead and get a few of the action figures I've been really wanting for a while, despite the price point. So I went ahead and did that for Jaina. And a couple weeks later, I ended up doing her brother as well. But this particular figure of her you're looking at actually bid for her a couple weeks later. I think it was towards the very end of 16, going into 17. And I ended up winning her on an auction from Togori. If you recall, back around 2015, 16, 17, Togori, it seemed like always had Jaina solos in stock. And of course, as far as I could tell, this pretty much looks like an authentic action figure. There's no defects or anything about it. And she's not utilizing any parts that don't really add up. So perhaps Togori managed to get a hold of a bunch of Jaina solos that just somehow didn't make it into packaging. So that's a pretty interesting story. And if I recall correctly, I ended up winning the bid at like $50. So not too bad. At one point I wanted to have both, or have Jaina both carded and loose. I ended up opening the carded version because I wanted to complete the Droid BG J38. And I'm glad I did. I don't really regret not having either one carded, and it's nice having two action figures on hand for two different displays. But anyways, I'm just going to take a closer look at her. So for the most part, she's utilizing all new parts. From my understanding, her arms, not her hands, but her arms specifically, are reused from Stasa Lee, and same with her legs here. And after going back and taking a look at the Stasa Lee action figure I have here, I can see how that would be the case. The legs there look about the same, both have the same height, and I think just take off the one sleeve here. And I think those arms are pretty identical as well. Maybe the hands are about the same. And the hands look like they could be the same as well. Other than that, it's entirely new parts. So for the head sculpt, I think is phenomenal. I look at this and think, yes, this is Jaina Solo. They even put a little bit of pink on her lips as well. Hair looks really good. A lot of nice detailing in that. You can see all the creases and the waves and all the streaks. She does have it braided at the top here. And despite her hair being this length, it's not a hindrance on her neck articulation at all. You can pretty much get her in any pose you want. She does have a scarf around her neck there. Her Jedi robes. She have some unique colors on them. This almost looks pink here in this part of her robe, kind of like a pinkish tan. She does have a hole on the side of her belt here, so you can plug an unignited hilt. She does not come with one, unfortunately. Her brother doesn't have one in his belt, though. And she has the reddish tan color boots, which look very good. One thing about these legs is it seems like one leg is a little bit taller or longer than the other. So you can see, so if you wanted to stand straight, you would have to bend one of her knees, I suppose. Something like that. And she definitely benefits from having a stand. Not too often she usually stands too well on her own. terms of articulation, she does have the ball joint at the neck, as you can see. Nice range of motion. She does have hinge at the shoulders, and hinged elbows, and swivel wrists, and swivel waist, and swivel hips, and then hinged knees and hinged ankles. In terms of weapons and accessories, she's very light compared to her brother especially, but she does have a pink lightsaber, which is something I can't think of an example of another Hasbro Star Wars character having a pink lightsaber, so this might be totally unique to Jaina here. Of course, we do have some Sith where the red is kind of pinkish, but this one's just pure pink. Which I think is kind of fitting for Jaina. She does have a unique hilt here. Looks very generic though, but still it is unique to her. Some detailing at the end there. And she does hold it well in her hand. Then she does come with the Build-A-Droid part, and in this case it is the torso for BGJ38 here. There's that green dot there. And it does have a little bit of articulation, the swivel waist there. It looks like that might be the power box. And at this point, we just have to go over Shaak Ti, and I'm pretty sure she has the left arm here, so this droid is pretty much complete. That torso here is probably one of the rarest parts about this droid as well. It's usually pretty expensive if you buy it individually on eBay. The way her eyes are painted on, she usually has that pose like she's looking up. Seems to be a common thing with all the Jainas out there. Other than that, I think that's pretty much all I can tell you about Jaina. One more thing I'll do here is a couple comparisons. Bring out her parents here. And they all look pretty good together. And of course we'll bring out her twin brother. And there we got the solos. All we're missing is an Anakin solo, which it would be nice if Hasbro would make one, but I highly doubt they ever will. I have seen some customs on eBay every now and then of him. Usually people will use the TVC Kid Anakin Skywalker from the Phantom Menace wave, and I think that'd be a good tooling for that particular character, and he just needs a new head really. And I'll bring out a couple others here. Bring out her eventual master, Mara Jade. And then of course the Grand Master himself, Luke Skywalker. And this looks really good. I think I mentioned in the Jason video that at some point I would like to do a video showcasing all the Skywalkers that Hasbro has made. At this point, in the EU timeline, I think all we're really missing is maybe Anakin Solo and then Ben Skywalker. I'm trying to think if there's any others. Maybe in Star Wars Legacy there could be some characters here and there. Other than that, we pretty much have them all. Other than that, would I recommend Jaina Solo for your collection? I totally would, even if you have to pay a little bit more than you're comfortable with. I think she's a character that's essential for any EU collection specifically. And of course, if you are a big fan of the solos, she's an essential character for that. As far as price is concerned, I do see prices usually between $100 and $200 for her brand new, which is completely outrageous. But if you could find her for less than $100, I think that's a fair price for her. Like I said, she's one of my personal favorite characters in all the EU. Very fleshed out story. Lots of details and character built into her. And I'm happy that we have at least one 3 3/4" action figure of her. I do have the Black Series version of her reviewed on the channel, if you want to check that out. It's a slightly older version of her. Would be nice if Jaina can get a TVC release. I don't know if that will ever happen. I would certainly be welcoming to one. And even if they just did a straight repack of this action figure, I think people would be happy with that. But we'll see. Maybe if she wins a fan vote or there's enough attention drawn to her, Hasbro will do that. Either way, solid action figure. One of the centerpieces in my collection. Cherish it greatly. And I highly recommend you track one down for your collection as well. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There will always be more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate all your support. And check out the links in the description if you haven't done so already. As always, thanks for watching.